Hello, hello, hello. Long time no see. So, as you saw in the thumbnail, we are going to talk today about Omar Rudberg's North American leg of his tour that just finished up. I know he's going on his fantasy tour in the new year, but we're going to talk about his North American leg because I got the honor because you guys are so incredibly awesome and you always think of me, which is so amazing. I got tickets to New York and I got a ticket to LA. So I was able to go, and I'm going to tell you all about the boppies, the floppies, and everything in the middle, things I love, things I didn't. And he hasn't announced any US dates for the fantasy tour yet, at least not as of now, but I'm sure he is because I feel like he's really revving up for that. Okay, so let's start from the beginning. I literally at 6:30 at night, on the day of his New York show, I got a message from a stan in the Scamily. I love you guys. All the Scam fandom is like so strong. And they were like, hey, I know you're in New York. Like, do you want to go? I was like, yeah, I'm going. So I got over, took the train over to Williamsburg. The venue here was the Williamsburg Music Hall. I'm going to be straight up. I already knew as soon as this venue was announced, because I've lived in New York City almost 15 years now, I did not like the venue choice. And I knew what was going to happen as soon as I walked into the venue, what the issues were going to be. And they kind of just were exactly what I thought it was going to be. This venue is not very big because I think the capacity is like 600 or 800 or something. But the venue is like split into two floors. So you kind of have the mezzanine and then you have the lower floor. And then also a lot of the venue space and capacity is part of like the bar at the back. So the actual like venue first floor is not very big, and it does have like sides to it where you can kind of elevated sides, but it's still not a very big space. And I'm going to show insert what the actual venue looked like. Like you can see, do you see how far the stage is from the DJ? It's not very far, and there were so many people in that crowd. Like I know from the person that gave me the ticket, they were already in line when I was talking to them at like 6 o'clock and they were giving me the ticket. So like people got there early to be like in it, in it. And it just wasn't my favorite venue. I knew going into this wasn't going to be my favorite venue. And I really kind of stand by what I said on Twitter. I really feel like Omar, at least in New York City, could have sold out Webster Hall. Like Webster Hall is not double the capacity exactly, but I think it's 1,400. Obviously, you always take away from like the bar rooms and stuff. But I feel like he could have gone into Webster Hall and it would have been a more comfortable venue. For just the audience in the stands. I will say I much preferred the venue in LA, and we're going to get to that. So let's talk about the venue in LA. So the venue in LA was El Rey Theater. I think originally the original venue was the Roxy, right? Which I like that we didn't go to because if I remember, it's much smaller. And then the El Rey Theater was it was moved over to that location. So if you don't know this about me, I'm actually originally from LA. That's kind of how I was able to get to LA. So I was in New York. I got given a free ticket. And then within a few days of that, I also had another like stan reach out and they had a ticket to LA. And I actually was going to head to LA for Thanksgiving. So I kind of just like switched up my dates a little bit and was like, let's go to LA. So I get to LA. The line for this venue was crazy, but I will say I got there well in time. Like I had a lot more time to get there, where like the New York gig, I literally walked in the door at like 8 o'clock because I got the ticket at like 6:30 and I had to come from like Manhattan over to Brooklyn. But I much love this venue. So let me insert what this venue looked like. You see like the elevation is not as like intense and it's more like a flat venue, and there was just more room. Like I felt like everyone could like dance and like move around, and it just felt like the venue was more suited for Omar, as well as there's just more space to dance. Like one of my biggest issues in the New York venue was how crammed the stage was. I felt like the dancers were really crammed, Omar was really crammed. I will say that the New York venue, because it was so compact, it allowed for like, I saw a lot of Twitter stands were like right there, like a foot away from Omar. And I will say like the LA venue seemed a little wider. But yeah, so I really liked the LA venue more. The LA venue was a bop. New York venue kind of a flop for me. It's only because I'm from, like I said, I've been in New York 15 years and I know there's better venues out there. Okay, so now let's talk about the opener, which was Pebbles and Tam Tam. I think that's how it's pronounced. I didn't know this artist before. I really did like them. I did notice, and I'm going to insert here, they had a lot of technical issues at the beginning of their New York set. So, like, I don't know who Pebbles and who Tam Tam is. I'm sorry, guys. I didn't know the artist that well. But one of them, I'm going to insert here, their mic is, like, off. And they're trying to, like, like get the gig going, get the girls going in the crowd, and their mic was not working. Also, like, their DJ was kind of like on the side. They weren't using like the DJ wasn't like in the sound booth. I don't know what was going on in the New York venue. It was like weird exactly what happened there. But in the LA venue, I didn't get any of that. Like, it was so smooth. They sounded great. I actually got to hear their music better in the LA venue, and I was like, oh wow, I really, really like this artist. I was like, I actually got to like enjoy them a lot more. And then the New York venue, like, the sound was off for them, and I feel bad because as the opener, it's like you're trying to get everyone hyped up, and your mics are not working, and like you can't hear yourself through the inner ear, and like it was kind of like not my fave in the New York venue, just because they were having like technical difficulties at the beginning. But overall, I really like the artist. I like, sent them a follow, go check their stuff out. Like I said, I didn't know them before, and what I heard I liked, not necessarily my type of music, but what I heard I liked. So that was really great. So let's talk about the set list. So I'm going to read you out the set list that was sort of leaked online before I even walked in and sort of had an idea. So it was Bye Bye, Hoy Dije, Girlfriend, Como Ayer, La Mesa, Pull Up, Que Pasa, the Simon song, Wrong, Red Light, Lose Me, Talk, In the Sunrise, Moving Like That, It Takes a Fool to Remain Sane, She Fell in Love in the Summer, Dumb, Happier, y Mi Casa, Su Casa, and Sabotage. That was the set list. I don't think he had any differences. I can't honestly remember, but it seemed like he didn't from both of the shows I saw. First of all, I want to show you guys the crowd, because the New York crowd was insane. I could barely hear myself think. I'm going to insert like all the sound bites from here. Where literally when Omar walked out, I thought my eardrum was going to blow. It was crazy. Like, the New York crowd was intense. The LA crowd was good too, but they were honestly quite different crowds. But I was really happy that New York was Omar's first North American stop, or sort of his first stop in this continent, one of these two stops, because he hasn't done any Latin countries yet either. But the crowd, you could really tell Omar was really overwhelmed. And I will say, like, I felt like in New York, he was just so overwhelmed. Not that he wasn't killing it, he totally was, but you could tell he was like really overwhelmed on stage. At points, I thought he was gonna cry. Like, it was really like overwhelming to see him so overwhelmed, because you could tell he did, like, was sensing the love. Like, New York crowd came out, and like, I know just from being like in the building that like you could not run away from like the atmosphere of so much love and like gratitude and just positivity in that room. It was like really incredible, honestly. And I was like, wow, this is insane. Also, like, not that I'm trying to put LA to shame, because that's my hometown, but Simon's song, insert the clip again. Everybody in that crowd, them girlies and boys and everyone and all the people, they knew every single word. They were screaming it, and I was like, this is crazy. Like, I was honestly kind of overwhelming to even like just be around it. So let alone if that was like if you were the artist. Okay, but don't get me wrong. Even though everybody was like shaking and grooving in New York City, let me tell you what LA did, and I actually thought this was so amazing and cute and adorable and like also very intimate. So the LA crowd was like interacting with Omar and responding through signs and stuff. So when he did Red Light, let me show you the clip, insert the clip, the evidence. They all had these like red lights, and then like if he did a couple of songs where they like responding to him through a bunch of like all the same signs. So they're all like sending messages. I'll insert all of this now. And it was like, you could tell Omar was so like endeared by this, and it felt really like interactive in LA. It definitely felt like more, I mean, everyone was still jamming. Don't take me wrong. The people were up in their chairs, they were dancing, but there was something much like a kind of like a different intimacy energy where I just felt like the energy in New York was like raw and crazy, as New York is always. Where LA, it was like, it was still like really passionate and intense, but it almost sometimes felt intimate as well. And I kind of really loved that different take on it as well. And I was like, okay, this is super vibey as well. And yeah, and everyone was like I said, there was much more room in LA. So people were like grooving, like actually really like moving around. I don't think it's that people weren't grooving in New York. It's just there really was not that much space. I mean, look at the crowd. Like they are like shoulder to shoulder in that New York crowd. So that was definitely both crowds, bops, 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 bops all around for the crowds. Okay, some of my flops, not really about Omar, but just more about some of the logistics is, mijo, mi amor, where is the merch? I know Omar has merch. Like I've seen Omar talk about the merch. Neither of the venues had merch. They didn't bring any merch on the road with them, which I think is insane. Like I had just gone to another artist's performance like the week before. She had merch, CDs, like all but like vinyl. There was no merch. So I was kind of disappointed by that because honestly, I wanted to buy some merch to give away because, you know, I love giving t-shirts away. But there was no merch. I know you can buy it on the online store, but like a part of like touring is like getting the special tour merch, you know, being like New York stop, LA stop. So that was like kind of a flop on my end. Sorry. Like I know it's not Omar's fault. It's like a logistic team thing, but like, let's get on top of the merch for this fantasy tour, guys. Like I knew so many fans that were talking about like, oh, there's no merch. I would have bought merch if there was merch. So like missed opportunity for merch. You know, we got to get around that for the next time. Okay, so now let's review the performances. So I can't do every single song, guys, so I'm just going to do kind of the highlights. So my only, I wouldn't even say this is a flop on the set list, but I just literally could not physically hear it in the New York show because people were, the moment Omar came out, they were screaming. I feel like they sustained that scream for like a whole minute. I could not even hear Bye Bye, which was the first song. Couldn't hear it. Honestly, I was like, I'm sure Omar sang it, but I couldn't hear it because all I could hear, insert the screaming, is the screaming. So I don't really have an opinion. For me, where the show really got started, and I'm just going to say, guys, I have to be really, really, really rigorous with the clips right now I'm going to show because YouTube's copyright's like really insane lately. So they're only going to be a few seconds long. But where it starts for me is Girlfriend. I feel like from Girlfriend all the way to Moving Like that like run in the set list was like my favorite. Like I felt like it was just like banger after banger after banger. And I was like, oh my God. So I feel like Girlfriend and then Como Ayer, I think it's Como Ayer. And then from like La Mesa, Pull Up, Que Pasa, like the energy levels like exploded. I loved Pull Up. I loved Que Pasa was probably my first, like, I feel like that's a song you hear at the club and you're like, I gotta get up, I'm sorry. You know, like even if you're tired and you're like, oh, this day's killing me, you'll be like, I gotta vibe to the song. That was that song for me, at least, where I was like, okay, you know, like this is my second wind. Simon's song was cute, and I feel like Omar's always gonna give like a little nod to Young Royals, and it was nice for the fans that are just like diehard Young Royals fans because they just got to sing it and like be in the moment with him, and you could tell he really appreciated it. I loved Red Light. I love that song from the moment I heard it, but I loved Red Light. I just want to show you a second of Red Light. Just like people were like, it was a mood, dude. It was a mood, and I really loved it. And then I loved like In the Sunrise was like, I feel like it was just like everyone was just like dancing and vibing and like, you know, like I'm gonna pause for an In the Sunrise dance moment. Like I would literally, you're like in the whole venue and everyone's just like vibing out. So like I really love that. Moving like that also sort of continued that like vibe out. And then I feel like I totally understand why Omar did It Takes a Fool to Remain Sane. Personally, for me, I didn't need it. But like, once again, I think he's always going to have this love and homage to young royals. And like, it really, you know, for those who wanted it, it was cool. I feel like the last few songs were much more of like where I see sort of Omar going in the future, and what I kind of expect a lot to see more in the fantasy tour, which was Dumb and Happier, Mi Casa Su Casa, and then, you know, he closes with Sabotage. I definitely feel like we saw Omar throughout the years in this set. I'm serious. Like, it was like you got a lot of the Latin music, you got like pops of his Swedish stuff, and then we sort of go into now like his English songs and this much more like grown up sultry version where I feel like as an artist, I kind of know who Omar's going, like the direction he's going in, which is nice. It kind of was like a kind of like a journey through the last, you know, like he made a comment that he'd been coming to LA since he was 14 to record music. It really felt like this like tour was like the last 10 years musically of who he is and like the next direction he's going. And I really do expect the fantasy tour to be a lot more like adult Omar and really sort of opening himself up and like, you know, doing music that really talks about his own experiences now, even maybe in the world of celebrity and how that feels to him now. But it was a great show. Like I said, the flops weren't even like Omar's fault. Like the show itself was fine. The flops were like things he couldn't control, like the tech, you know, the sound checks in New York and like, you know, the size of the stage. So for Omar's team, please get our king a bigger venue when he comes to New York City. Please, please. Webster Hall's right there. So it's just like, I honestly feel like he could have sold it out. Like that. Also, just to preface, I wanted to buy tickets for if you've never been on my channel, I tend to give away stuff on all my reactions. I wanted to buy 2 tickets for New York or LA because I have to do my Young Royals reactions to give away. Those tickets, New York never actually went on sale from what I know because I put it on Twitter. They only pre-saled and sold out in the pre-sale. So, and it was like crazy. Like I know LA still had tickets up until the day, if I'm correct, but New York didn't. And honestly, I feel like we could have got a bigger venue and like honestly just fit more people in because it was packed, guys. Like, I mean, it was packed. And so, yeah, so those are my only comments. Like the set list was great. Omar's an amazing, you know, he's an amazing artist. And also I'm going to close out like showing you the end of his set. There's no music. So thank God I can show you.
Thank you so much, Lord. I hope to see you soon again.
Look how emotional he looks. Oh, I was like so emotional for him because you can tell when an artist is like so grateful and almost can't believe it. Like they're on the stage and they're like trying to take it in, but they're almost like, are you guys really here for me? And you could just sense it. Like he was like so grateful and so appreciative. And like, you could tell like he was feeling the love. And I really hope he, you know, took that away with him and he comes back. My only comment for Omar's team is, when are we going to get some love for Latin America? Like, come on, like Mexico, Brazil, you know, I know Omar can't go to Venezuela, but I could even see a date in Colombia. So like, I feel like he has so many stands in Latin America, like Puerto Rico. I could see that too as a date. And like, we need some love for his Latin American stands. Like I said, for me, this is more of an Omar team thing. I understand like, there's a lot of like, they can sell tickets at a certain price in his European dates. But like, you know, like there's so many stands in Latin America that are willing to come out and show out. So I would love to see, you know, in the fantasy tour, some Latin American dates. Also, let's get on the merch. Like that's another part that I think merch could really like go far and honestly sell out. Like let's get someone on the tour of merch. I volunteer to be your merch manager. And yeah, I'll see you, Omar, again in, you know, when you come back into the city. I definitely want to catch you again. And thanks, guys, for coming to our Omar 2024 tour reaction. If you went, tell me what you thought. What were your bops? What were your flops? What was everything in the mid? And, oh, everything in the mid, by the way, is the drink prices. This is like New York will rip your eyes out and so will LA. But, oh, my God, the drink prices. it was like $25 for like a wine. It was insane. And I was like, y'all lost your damn mind. So yours did not get any beverages. I was like, there was like some free water, and I was like, girl's gonna do that because I'm not about to pay $25 or $29 for a cocktail. It was insane. That was all mid. The drinks, the food, all mid. But once again, that's not in his control. It was just like the venue prices were insane. And also one more thing, guys. Flop for whoever was reselling these at some insane costs. Like in the line for LA, the ticket differences, and I know this happens a lot. You see this in like big tours right now, like Taylor Swift's tour. That like the price range of people who bought tickets for like $35, $50, $75, $100, $130, $150. It was just like the ranges were really crazy, and I know it's because people like resell on the market. And also like there must have been some miscommunication in LA. Once again, Omar's team to Omar, because he at one point tweeted out that he had sold out LA, but he didn't sell out LA. There were still tickets left for LA, so people just didn't even try to get tickets, even though they were tickets left. So that was a flop. There seems to be like, for me, a lot of the issues on this tour are more like Omar's team needs to like get on it and sort of like tighten up shit. So aside from that though, like I think Omar did get great. I think if you buy a ticket, you'll always get a great performance with him. He like kills it. And you know, we want to see you again. And also like, you know, mijo, dales amor a los latinoamericanos. Te están esperando. So yeah, let's see you in Mexico, Puerto Rico, Brazil. You know, I know they love you out there. So yeah, that's it, guys. I'll see you for my next review. Calm down, because it's this. I got to see it. Yeah. And I don't have a signed one, but I'm going to give this one away. I'm going to try to go after the matinee over the next week or so to see if I can get it signed. If I get it signed, I will. If I can't get it signed, I'm sorry. But I'll be giving away the Romeo and Juliet playbill and reviewing Kit Connor's performance. I also have snippets because I was naughty, but I'm going to be real careful with that as well. Okay. So see you later, guys. Bye.